Hi guys, I'm Chris and this is Almost Legit Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to swap your factory control arms for Audi TT control arms on a Mark 5. So let's go over here and show you the comparison. So on the left is the TT arm. By the way, it's white. I painted it that way and I didn't do a very good job, but just getting that out of the way. So main feature is this is actually made out of aluminum instead of cast iron. And the ball joints are slotted instead of being fixed like the factory one. So basically this allows you to get some camber adjustment. It's supposed to be these control arms will increase the track width by, I believe it's 7 millimeters per side, what they say. But I'm gonna just set the old one on top of the new one and you can kind of get a good visual of how much longer it is. Now it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but looks like by the time you get to the end of it there, it's about ½ an inch, which can make quite a big difference. This is my preferred method for adding camber to a car, or to one of these cars, because this also weighs about 3 pounds lighter than that does. So the additional camber and lighter weight, like lighter unsprung weight, makes this a even bigger handling improvement over the factory stuff. And it also, compared to, like a strut top camber plate or whatever, should have additional benefits. Also, if you are a cheap ass like I am, you can use the factory Audi TT bushing in place of your GTI bushing. Now the GTI bushing is rather soft and malleable, and the Audi TT one is solid rubber. So basically, if you don't feel like spending the money on polyurethane, you can just swap these into the factory GTI housings, or elongate these holes. I think it goes outwards. You need to elongate them outwards, but either or, I'm just going to swap these bushings into the factory housing. But I'm going to show you guys the quick and simple swap and show you guys what it looks like afterwards. So let's get started. Okay, you want to jack up both sides so that you can turn the wheel easily, and also you don't have the sway bar binding up. This side I already did the control arm on, and with the toe being messed up, this thing has mad drift car angle. It's kind of an interesting sight to see. Okay, so you're going to want to turn the wheel all the way so you can gain access to the ball joint bolt. So basically, you're going to hope and pray that this comes out without the stud part of the ball joint spinning, because otherwise you're going to have to loosen the CV joint to get it out. And just to make sure it doesn't, I'm going to spray a little penetrating lubricant on it. Okay, now I'm going to point out, resist the urge to use a ratcheting wrench in here, because it'll get stuck right about at this point. Then there's not really much you can do about it. Also, the nut's only going to go to about there, but once you break that ball joint free, you can get it off. Okay, now you're going to turn the wheel the other way and wedge your pickle fork in, and give a few whacks, and hopefully it'll come apart. Just like that. Okay, now you can finish getting that. Well, maybe. Finish getting that nut off. Yes, I am aware of what I just said. Okay, finish getting that nut out. You can get your knuckle free. Now you're just gonna loosen your front, your front. Make the grunting sounds, they help. You're gonna loosen the front control arm bolt. And I'm gonna mention it now, because I will forget, and I'll end up having myself a good old time. But disconnect your ride height sensor before you try to take the control arm off. You'll see me struggle with it in a little bit. Alright. Now you got 216 to the back, and then you got the 18 here at the front. Now be very careful with these, because they do occasionally snap off in the subframe, and then you're having a very bad day because you have to pull a whole bunch of things apart to fix it. So my solution for not snapping stuff off is I kind of work them back and forth a little bit, and you're not going to want to impact these too bad. There, broke free. Like I said, just working back and forth. You don't have to breaker bar or use a breaker bar and working back and forth the whole way down, but until they get started, until they get freed up, just working back and forth. Cut some new threads if things are kind of corroded, and then you hopefully won't have to change the lower subframe. Ask me how I know. I did it last time. It was awful. Don't do it. Random thing I forgot about from the last time I did this. Maybe you guys will be able to see it on camera, but for some reason, whatever's on top of this bolt traps moisture. So when you break them free, a bunch of water comes out. Not sure why it does that. Probably not a good thing. It might rust out because of it. But either way, that's what we're working with. A little tech tip for you now while we're doing this. Seeing how this is almost legit garage, make sure you keep your spacers when you're putting it back in. Now these spacers don't exist on a factory car, but I broke this stud last time I had the control arms out, and I didn't have the right size bolt. But I had one that was a little longer that threaded in, and it was Volkswagen, so I figured I'd run it. A few spacers, no big deal. Honestly guys, you probably should change these every time you have it apart. I'm not going to, because I'm stubborn like that, but you probably should. See, I didn't trust myself to remember, but I actually did. It's a learning. I'm a learning. One of these days I'm going to have this all down. Yeah, I'm going to get this loose and everything's going to fall to pieces. Yeah. If you ever pull one of these apart being stupid, like I did the first time I took this apart, you can always use a screwdriver to open up the metal tube part, and then stick it back in the plastic and crimp it down with some dikes. Dikes is in wire cutters, not, you know, lesbians. Not like you should call lesbians dikes. They're nice people. But while we're under here, we are reminded of hack jobs past. So this is an 034 Motorsports mount. So this is what they call the hockey puck or whatever. So basically it's just solid rubber. And it's a pain in the butt to install, as you can see the fact that that side's not exactly seated all the way. But nevertheless, it's in there and it works. But it was a little too stiff for me. So what I did was I took a track drill from a for a snowmobile, and I drilled holes in it to soften it up. Because if you have a solid rubber bushing and you drill holes in it, you make it not as hard. So, little piece of advice there if you're ever in the need. Right side to it, left is loosey. I don't know, my hands just know how to do it. So I just trust them to do it from now on. But we're a few small threads away from touchdown. Down and time. Really wasn't a good time, but there you can see factory housing, factory bushing. Really freaking soft. You can move these things around like crazy. Okay, with any luck, I'm going to show you the easy way to get these bushings out. With any bad luck, I'm going to slice my hand because this aluminum's a little sharp. but you're just gonna, oh, twist and pull. Ow, metal shaver, metal sliver. Okay, metal sliver. So not sure exactly where that falls under the category of how well that went, but I have gloves, and we shall try again. Probably should have put the gloves on in the first place, but you live, you learn, you heal. And there you go. That's how you get those off. Alright guys, things are gonna bounce. But basically we got a bench vise, we got a big thing for hammering things, a number 2 persuasion device, and you're just gonna give it a nice whack. Hopefully you guys can see that. Camera angle is probably stuck, but wait. Now be sure to only use your expensive sockets when you're doing this. Anything smaller would be a waste. Anyways, there's your housing and there's your bushing. Comes out just that simple. Alright, I'm going to save you the pain and suffering of what I just had to do, but I now have that piece and I have that piece. And let's forget about that little overcut. But basically I cut the side of the housing so I get that out. So main thing to remember when you're putting this back in is to line up the diagonals. They go towards the front and rear of the car. No big surprise there. One thing I am going to do, just to make sure nothing moves, is I'm going to coat the outside of this with a little bit of Loctite, red, because red's the permanent stuff. And basically that's just going to make sure this doesn't move when it's not supposed to. As long as you have that lined up front to rear, you're just going to pop it in there and tighten it down in the vise so you guys can see that. Yep, and she's good to go. Okay, with a little explaining, you hammer that on there. You can do the twist method trying to put it on, but I think the best results are just to use a socket and a hammer, and sometimes this aluminum housing will kind of back out, so you just knock that back down in there. So reinstallation is just the opposite of uninstallation. So you're just gonna put it in there. The only real piece of advice here is put a little grease or anti-seize on the threads before you put it in there, just to make sure it doesn't seize in the housing, because you know that's not really a good time. Also, you want to hand start everything, because believe it or not, you can strip out or you can cross thread these body bolts pretty easily. Also, another good tip I forgot to mention is turn the steering wheel to push the to allow the wheel to come out a little further, and that should make reinstallation a little bit easier. Okay, before you get everything too far started, just slip your ball joint back into the knuckle. It'll take a little wiggling, but you should be able to get there. Oh, takes a little bit of wiggling, but you should be able to get there. Get your nut started. There we go. Here's one tip if you're trying to get every last ounce of camber you can out of these things. Your bushing is going to have a little slot where the bolt goes through it, and you're just going to take a pry bar and pull on it, and then you're going to tighten the bolt. I can't do it with the camera in the way, but you have a little bit of slop there, and you can do the same thing with the rears here. You're just going to There you go. Slide that all the way out and tighten it, and then you're going to get every last ounce of camber and caster out of these control arms. And of course, don't forget about your ride height sensor, because you might want that. Oh no. And lastly, push up and tighten your ball joint bolt. If you have it where the ball joint itself is spinning and or spinning with the bolt, just put the jack under the ball joint, put a little pressure on it, and it should help seat the ball joint and keep it from moving. Okay guys, so you put the wheel back on and you're done. Well, you're not really done, because this is what your toe looks like now. So this is the driver's side, and there is the passenger side. And the steering wheel, I assure you, is right in the middle, dead center. So listen to me now. Even you in the back, listen to me. Do not drive the car like this. Horrible idea. You will crash, you will die, and you will probably catch on fire. It's not a Lamborghini, but pretty close. Anyways, do not drive like this. If you're lazy, have the car towed. You probably have roadside assistance, and you're not even using it. So just say, hey, car's broke, take me to the shop. And then there you go. And they'll believe you because, I mean, look at your car. That's obviously broken. But if you're a more industrious person like I am, basically you're just going to jack up the car, set it down on some big wood blocks, or maybe ramps, something along those lines, and take a measurement between the tires. I think I mentioned on how to do it in the lowering spring install video. Set it on some wood blocks, take some measurements between the tires, and you're just going to want to go 0 toe out, side to side. When you set the car back down, it should gain a little toe to start with, or a little toe out to start with, but that should get you close enough to take it to a shop and get a real alignment, because at this point, there's no way you're doing the alignment yourself. It's a bad idea to try. Don't do it. Like, seriously. I'm normally a pretty sketchy person. I'm telling you, don't do it. But I'll get a picture of this once it's straightened out and show you guys how much camber we've been able to gain with this thing. Alright, after a little struggle, I've come to the conclusion that my tie rods were seized and I'm not adjusting my alignment without changing them. So, future video, maybe, I'm going to change those. But for now, I figured I'd straighten it out, set the car down, kind of move it back and forth to hopefully settle the suspension a little bit, so you can see how we're doing in the camber department. So, see if you can't see down the side of the car. It's a little hard to tell just from the shape of the car, but the rear wheel's probably about 2.5 degrees. And the front is definitely more. So we're aiming, my target is 2.5 to 3 degrees. I think we're probably going to make it there. Once you get down, you can actually see, I mean, there is a significant amount of camber there. And then to show you how severe the toe problem is, that's the other side. So I got this one turned straight and the other one's just hanging off in left field. Alright guys, wardrobe change, because I didn't close out the video properly when I was doing it. So it's the next day. Anyways, the car's done. I'm going to have to do the YouTuber thing and say, like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more about this. We'll be taking the car to autocross a bunch this summer. Driving it on some back roads, and we have other mods coming for it. So you'll want to see that if you like GTIs, so subscribe just for that. And throw a comment in the comment section if you like this video or didn't like it and you have something to say about it. I know there is a little bit of territory for you guys with me mispronouncing things or wrong words, but let's forgo that and you know, keep it constructive. But I appreciate you guys watching. This video should come out right about the time that we're getting up to 50 subscribers, and that might not seem like a lot for most people, but I believe we were at like 14 subscribers when I really started getting back to getting this channel going. So it has come a long way, and with your guys' help, we can keep it going and eventually get to the point where maybe this can be a big thing. So I appreciate every one of you guys for watching, and subscribe if you want to. Thanks, guys.